Okay, hi all. Today we are going to start a new project. It's a little bit more individual, I will say, compared to the others that you've done so far. And we're going to learn how to start a new document completely from scratch. So right now I have just opened Photoshop and I'm on the opening um, page where I would select a document or create new or open. So over here on the left hand side, you're gonna select create new, and then you're gonna get this new document window that pops up. Now we're gonna just create a completely blank document the size of a piece of paper. So over here, we're gonna name this is gonna be our vision board. So go ahead, name that your vision board. And then we're gonna make sure that we're in inches. Make sure you're in inches. And the width is going to be 11 and the height is going to be 8.5. So that's about the size of your standard sheet of paper. Now the resolution, this affects if we were going to print it or if we were going to put it online. That's really what we would want to vary here. So 300 is good for print, and that's the standard, and 72 pixels per inch is standard if we were going to put it on the web. So please remember that those are both things that are on the Photoshop certification test. So we're going to pretend as though we're going to print this. We might print some of them, so go ahead, put 300 here. And for the background color, just leave it at white, and then go ahead down here and hit create. When you hit create, you will then have your brand new blank document opened up into Photoshop. Now we are going to be creating a vision board, so you are going to come up with a bunch of things or pictures that represent things that you want for your future life. So what are your goals for yourself? What do you want to do when you graduate? Where do you want to go to college? What do you want to have for your life? What kind of car do you want? What kind of house do you want? What kind of animals do you want? What kind of food are you going to want to eat? So we can kind of think of like a manifesting board or just a bunch of stuff that you want for yourself. And anything is fine as long just stay away from anything that we can't take photos of, or that's a no for this class. So that would be drugs, nudity, weapons. So stay away from all that good stuff. So keep it clean. So what you want to do is we're going to go to the internet and you want to search for the things that you want. So for example, I'm going to say money. So you're going to click or type in money, and then we're going to hit images. And now I'll give you a helpful tip. If you type in white background or PNG, that will be extremely helpful for you. That will simplify your process. So you're going to look through the images and you're going to find one that you like. And once you find what you like, if you're on the Mac, you can drag and drop it to your desktop. I'm just gonna move that. Let me see. Drag and drop. You always want to grab it from the large image. You click on it, and on the thumbnail, it will be the largest version over on your right. Then you can drag and drop from there. If you're on the PC, you want to right click and save image as. You can always do that. You can do that as well on the Mac, but I think it's just easier to drag and drop, but it is up to you. You can do it the same way on both the Mac and PC. Then what I did here is I created a folder on my desktop. I just right click and I did new folder. I named it vision board, and I'm just gonna drag all my images for this project into that. I was working with Jaden in Photo 2. He was helping me get some images for a potential vision board, and here's what we pulled already. So you want to pull a bunch of things from the internet that you want and just gather it together in a folder. We're looking for about 15, 20 images. And again, simplify your life by using a white background or a solid background. Tiki, you chillin'? Okay. So I like to do that ahead of time and have them all here so that once I start really getting into the project, I can keep going. This project should take you 2 or 3 days to do a really nice job with it. When you are pulling your images, you want to pull JPEGs or PNGs. If you get anything that looks like this, where my mouse is on the desktop right here, um, just throw that in the trash. Just grab it and throw it in the trash can. Don't worry about it, and go ahead and grab a JPEG or a PNG, because these web links, these are not gonna work for you. If I try and bring that into Photoshop, it's not gonna work. So make sure you're grabbing JPEGs right at here or PNGs. Okay, so now once you've gone and you have all your images pulled, all the things you want for yourself, Tiki, no. Then we're going to start to bring it into Photoshop. So I'm gonna start here with the car. So I'm gonna grab a hold of this, and you drag it down to the PS on your dock if you're on a Mac. And when you drag it to the PS on your dock, it will automatically open into a new tab in Photoshop. So you see, here I have my base background image, and here I have the car that I just brought in. They're separate tabs on the top. Now you could also bring it in by going File, Open, and selecting the, there it is, selecting it from, I'll bring these two in. Okay, so we're gonna start with the car. Now, so we're going to learn some new things here and use some selecting skills that we already know. So I'm gonna demo a few different ways to do this, and then you can kind of go from there and do whatever works best for you. So we're going to select the car and get rid of the white. So I'm gonna try, my favorites are always the quick selection tool and the object selection tool. So I'm gonna try the object selection tool. Remember, that works by making a box around the object. Let's see how well it does. Okay, not too bad. I do want to get the shadow for this, so I'm gonna switch to the quick selection tool. Make sure it's on the plus, and I'm gonna click and drag, because the quick selection tool selects almost like a paintbrush does. It you can add to it or subtract to it by like painting over the area of this selection. So I'm just gonna double check and make sure I'm not missing any spots. Okay, looks pretty good. So once you have your item selected, now we're gonna copy and paste. So I'm gonna show you both the long way and the shortcut way to do this. So under your edit menu at the top, you're gonna go edit, copy, and you're gonna click on this tab right here where our main project is, and then you're gonna do edit, paste. Okay, bam, there it is. So when you paste it, when you paste it, I'm gonna grab the move tool now. You can move it wherever you want it. You can also free transform it, edit, free transform, or Command T, and you can make it larger, smaller. And when you're satisfied with the size, you want to hit the check mark. And in our layer panel, you do want to keep track of what's on each layer. So I'm going to name this layer car, so I can keep track of what's on there, and it gives me practice labeling. When you're working with several layers, you always want to label all your layers to keep everything very organized. As your projects get larger, as we go, your projects will become larger and larger, and you will want to keep track, keep everything organized. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back. I'm done with this now. I'm gonna deselect, and I'm just gonna hit the X. Now I've already got it, so I don't need to save that one. Now I'm gonna go to the next one that I brought in, and this time I'm gonna use a different selecting method. I'm gonna use the one that we learned when we were doing the cutting board and the shells, where we grab the second tool down, the rectangular marquee tool, make a box around it. Then we're going to grab the magic wand tool, click up in the options bar, we're going to put it on minus and click inside the box. That worked pretty well, but it wasn't entirely perfect. I've got a little spot in there. Excuse me. And then I'm going to clean this up. And I'm going to just switch over to my quick selection tool real quick. You can toggle from the plus to minus, again, with the option or alt key. And the bracket keys next to the P key make your tool larger and smaller. I'm just going to clean this up. And then I'm going to edit, copy, edit, paste. Whoops, I forgot to switch. We switch over to the vision board and then edit, paste. And then I'm going to label it money sign. And free transform, Command T to make it whatever size I want it. And I'm going to continue to do that for the rest of the items in the folder, and then I'm going to come back on towards the end and show you some other things. Okay, so for this one, I kept getting a bunch of images that were not the right format. They weren't PNG, they weren't JPEG. So I ended up doing a screenshot. So I went to the website and I did shortcut Command Shift 4, which gives me it turns my mouse into this stylus, and then I can lasso the area that I want to screenshot. Once it's screenshotted, then it goes to my desktop, and from my desktop, here it is, I can grab a hold of it and pull it into Photoshop, and now here it is. So now I can go ahead and select that.
Try the magic wand tool. Remember, the magic wand tool selects based on color. Now I'm going to go back in with the quick selection tool. I'm just painting over this selection to clean it up. And sometimes you need to zoom in closer. Command plus plus plus. I'm missing some of these areas here. You just want to look really close around the edge, clean it up. Selections, the cleaner your selections are, the better your project will be. Okay, I'm going to unlock the background layer. What is unlocked? And then I'm going to hit delete to eliminate the background, deselect, and then I'm going to copy and paste into my project. And remember, the shortcut for the move tool is the Z key. Now I'm going to work on the spacing and shifting everything
This isn't too bad. I'd like to go in and add some more things and fill in some of the negative space, but I want to show you guys a couple more things. So you might be working on this and you might think that like the car has a little shadow under it, and I might want the rest of the objects to have a shadow also. So I want to show you how to do that. Let's start with the watch. So I'm clicking on the watch. It automatically selects the layer that the watch is on. And if I go down to the bottom of my layer panel, you're going to see this little FX. These are your layer styles. And if you scroll down through them, there's a whole bunch of different layer style effects that you can add. So we're going to do the drop shadow. When you click on it, it's going to pull up the layer style dialog box. And then if you look here at the watch, you can see, I'm going to do it really dramatic so you can see. You guys see that shadow under it? So we don't, of course you want it to be tasteful and just to make your project pop a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and make it just real subtle and tasteful. And then when I'm satisfied, I'm going to click OK. Now, if you wanted to copy that same drop shadow onto all your other layers in your layer panel, you can do that by, if you hold down Option or Alt on your keyboard, you can simply click and drag. Now you can see on that one, I actually had a little on the edge here, so that's not going to work out. So I'm going to just turn the visibility off on that one. You need to keep trying it on the rest. There, it worked for the graduate hat. Now this is all about, you're gonna it's trial and error. You're gonna try some things, you're gonna like it, you're gonna do it for others and not like it. You can always step back, you can always hide things, you can always erase. So I'm just holding down Option or Alt, and I'm dragging and dropping and transferring this drop shadow to all my other layers. If I wanted to, I could grab this layer panel and move it around and open it up so I could see everything a little better. Okay, so I have it on all the layers now except the Sugar Hill layer because that didn't really work out. Let me turn it back on and see if I can fix it. Alright, so it looks okay, I just need to clean it up. So I'm going to grab my eraser. Here's my eraser tool. And I'm going to grab a soft edge, so I'm going to put my hardness on 0. I'm going to adjust the size of it by using the bracket keys next to the P key. And let's see, I'm just going to brush over that to get rid of that line. And just clean up these little edits right here. There we go. Okay, that looks a lot better. I hope we got a little bit right here still to clean up. Okay, and you might see things later that you want to clean up, but that's okay. Now what we want to do is we want to address the background. So you're going to scroll down to the background layer, click on the background. So we don't want to leave any of our backgrounds white because I want you guys to practice. You have 3 choices. You can do a paint color, a gradient, or a pattern or a photo. So I'm going to show you how to do all 3 of those. So make sure for all of them you're on your background layer. We'll start with the easiest one first. I'm going to do the paint bucket, which you guys all know the paint bucket tool, so I'm going to select the paint bucket. And then I'm going to try a light gray because I think that might look kind of nice. And then I'm just going to drop it in. Now when you add the background, you're going to see any places where you messed up. Like I see that my selection right here isn't the best and a little bit on the glasses. So now I'm going to actually go in and take care of that and clean it up. So I'm going to zoom in here on Young Boy. I'm going to grab my, I'm going to click on him to make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to grab my magic wand tool and I'm going to just select this little area and hit delete. Try and clean up any spots that I might have missed. Okay, that's better. Then I saw another spot, Command 0, deselect. And the glasses, I want to clean up that little edge of the glasses. Again, you want your craftsmanship to be as neat and nice as possible. I like to use the Magic Wand color for these little cleanups because it does select based on color of the pixel. Got that little bit, hit delete. Whoops. Now that's a mess up, I just deselect. I was trying to get this little dot right there. Hit delete, deselect. Okay, oh here's a little bit too. Deselect. And it's just selecting that little bit of white because it is selecting all of that color. So you have to be very precise with where you click. Alright, so that is an example of using the paint bucket tool. I'm going to go back to my background layer, and now I'm going to use the gradient tool, which is underneath the paint bucket tool, to demonstrate that. So I'm going to kind of stick with this similar color scheme that we had going on. I think I'm going to do like a fade of gray to black. Maybe I'll add a little pink in there to pick up on the pants, or a little blue. So of course, if you double click here, this is going to pull up all your presets. If you click on the arrow to the left, you have all these options. You can also kind of customize. Let me use a gray one as a base. So I'm just going to start out with this gray gradient, and I'm going to show you you can customize it by, if you click there, it adds this little, it looks like a house. And when you double click inside that, it'll bring up the color picker, and you can actually customize it by choosing what color you would like it to be. So now you can see it's going to kind of do a light gray to a fuchsia pink to like a dark gray fade. And once I have that, you can name it. Where it says name custom, you can type in, I'm going to call it vision board, whoops, vision board gradient, and I'm going to hit new, and then you can see it added it right here for me, which I guess it was similar to one that already existed. So then I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click and drag to apply that gradient. That's kind of fun. And there's different patterns or different styles of gradients up here. This one is the linear. This is actually on the Photoshop test where you need to know the linear grade. You have to know the names of the gradients. So this is the linear gradient. This is the radial gradient. This is the angle gradient, the reflected gradient, the diamond gradient. So you can kind of experiment with those, whoops, and see the difference. That's the radial, the angled, the reflected, and the diamond. Kind of like the reflected gradient. But experiment around with it. As you experiment, of course, you're going to be learning a bunch. Kind of like it like that. And then the last thing I want to show you is if you want like a pattern or an image in your background. I'm trying to think what might look good back behind here. Maybe like some gray. I'm kind of sticking with the color scheme. I'm going to try like the texture of cement. So I'm going to go to the internet, and I'm going to do cement texture, and we're going to look in the images. Okay, so this is kind of what I was going for. So some nice gritty. Oh, I kind of like the chipping. I like this one. So you're going to find one that you like. Make sure that you are on your background layer in Photoshop. Make sure that your pixels are in the thousands. And then you're going to drag, and you're going to drop right on top. Did that work? That did not work. Let's try that again. And drag it down to Photoshop. Okay, there it is in Photoshop. Now you can select all, which is shortcut Command A. Select all. Then you copy Command C and switch over to our project, which is right here. paste, Command V, and then I'm gonna do shortcut for free transform, Command T, and I'm gonna stretch it out to cover my whole background. Now, if it looks pixelated at first, and I know that I grabbed one that was in the thousands, so I should be good, but it's always going to clear up a little bit after you hit the check mark at the top. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pull my layers back up, Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. There's my layers back to normal, and it looks pretty good. You want to perfect everything, make sure everything is good before you flatten it and save it. When you are satisfied with everything, you're going to go to Layer, Flatten Image, and then File, Save As, and you're going to save as, if you want to transfer, if you're in the middle of this project and you're not done with it, you would not want to flatten it. You only want to flatten it when you are completely done. But if you are on like the first day and you still have another day or two to work on it, you can go ahead and save it as a PSD file, which is a Photoshop file. Now, if you are switching from computer to computer and you want it to follow you on Photoshop, you want to save it to your cloud documents. And as long as you're logged in Photoshop, it will travel with you. But if you're staying on the same computer and you're most comfortable doing that, you can save it on your computer.